back to another Star Minigaming YouTube video. This is going to be a real short video because, at least for myself, today is kind of like the biggest day of Warhammer YouTubing. Whenever Venturella puts on his Warhammer Weekly episode, so I like to try to keep any videos that I put out on Wednesdays shorter. Kind of in respect to that. And in this video, I want to talk about something from the Balance of Power book. So, I've talked about it in one video that I was a part of, which was Mitch or MC Gamer's 200th, I believe, episode, whenever he did a paint-isode, and I was able to jump on pretty late. It was probably about midnight or 1 a.m. Central Time. Whenever I did, and there was, a brief section where we kind of let everyone know that there was going to be spoilers, and I wanted to talk about what is the biggest change and biggest spoiler from this book that will perhaps forever change the Warhammer universe. And so, GW, in kind of a fun and interesting way, I'm sorry, I'm trying to not spoil this too soon, put this on literally the last page of the book that contained any kind of like narrative or just like artwork that isn't just purely rules and war scrolls and things like that within the book. So I'm going to show you a picture of the book. I'm going to show you the picture from the book, which is right here. That is a Lord Venator, which is the model that is flying like a prosecutor with a bow and has the little bird. And would like to read from it and let you know and talk about what this has to say. The warrior woke up with a sudden gasp. Strong hands flew up to clutch at a shattered skull, finding only undamaged scalp. Sparks danced across the eyes of deep jade green as the warrior gradually sat up. He looked down at his sculpted form, unblemished skin and iron-hard muscles where once was bubo-infested fat. The warrior felt a sense of relief so profound that he choked back a sob. With it came recollection. All the horrors that had been heaped upon him, all the horrors he had wrought himself. He felt the sharp stab of shame, quickly eclipsed by a far stronger emotion, anger. Rising from the ensorcelled altar where he had awoken, the warrior stood tall. As he did so, lightning leapt from his body, drawing in plates of sculpted armor to gird him for war. He felt no surprise, only fierce elation, as crackling pinions of crystal and light spread majestically from his shoulders, and an ornate huntsman bow appeared in his hand. The weapon felt good there, right in a way that his monstrous axe never had. He knew not what miracle had given him this chance at redemption, but he was Torglug the Despised no longer. He was reborn as Tornus, Knight Venator of Sigmar's hosts. No longer was he Nurgle's slave. Instead, he was redeemed, a warrior of righteous vengeance, and he would make the plague god pay dearly for what he had endured. So I'll talk real briefly about what this is. In the Warhammer story and Warhammer 40k, there have been several instances where we have seen characters fall to chaos. Archaon is a great example of this. A character who embraces chaos, falls, and becomes corrupted. And Torglug was no different. In the backstory that's given for Torglug, he was unwillingly, at first, kind of tortured and tormented until he became this monstrosity that served Nurgle. And he was a champion of Nurgle known as the Despised One. And he went about on Nurgle's missions and helped to conquer the mortal realms. Until finally, he is present in the realm of life whenever Alarielle wakes up, whenever the Stormcast find her. And he is basically at the head of the group that's trying to hunt down Alarielle. He is later killed in combat by the Celestant Prime himself with Galmaraz, who strikes him so hard that not only does he crush his skull, he rips the very soul from Torglug's body. Now Sigmar for whatever reason, decides that he is going to take this tortured soul and redeem him. And so he, as Torgelig dies, his soul turns into the blue lightning and is called up to Azir. And it is there that Sigmar reforges him as a Stormcast Eternal. Now, the really big deal about all this is that never, to my knowledge, or anyone else who I've shared this with, who has been, who have all been experienced in Warhammer and the lore for a lot longer time than I have, and have a far more comprehensive knowledge of the old world than I do, this has never happened. We've never had a Servant of Chaos, and especially a Champion of Chaos, who is highly valued by his god that he serves, who has tons of blessings, who has a unique weapon that was gifted to him by his god that he serves, his patriarch god, be redeemed, basically lay all that aside and say, I'm mad at that god who enslaved me, I'm coming for him. So, clearly that's a big change. I just want to leave you with that. I wanted to wait a little bit until after the book had been out, so anyone who wanted to go and buy the book and kind of read it for themselves before I could talk about it or spoil it for them had the opportunity. And I hope that this is something that excites you as much as it has excited me to see this change in the story, because if nothing else, it at least gives the opportunity that Chaos could truly lose, instead of it basically being like, a foregone conclusion that Chaos will always win. So until next time, this is James, and happy gaming.